Good day everyone. For today's visual discussion, we're going to tackle the lesson 10, which is entitled Child Growth and Development. Learning objective. Upon completion of the lesson 9, you must be able to know the development of a growing baby at various stages, help the growing baby establish good physical and motor skills, sensory and cognitive skills in different stages, solve difficulties of not meeting the child developmental milestone, explain two factors influencing how the child succeeds and grows. Developmental milestones record. Developmental milestones are behaviors or physical skills seen in infants and children as they grow and develop. Rolling over, crawling, walking and talking are called milestones. The milestones are different for each age range. There is a normal range in which a child may reach each milestone. So the developmental milestones are changes in the behaviors and physical skills of an infant and children. Skills such as taking first step, smiling for the first time, waving, talking and walking are some of the examples of the developmental milestone. The developmental milestones of an infant and children are different based on their age, where there is a normal range or stage in which they reach the milestone. Children reach milestones in how they learn, play, speak, act, and move. Walking may begin as early as 8 months in some children. Others walk as late as 18 months and it's still considered normal. Most parents also watch for different milestones. Talk to your children's provider if you have concerns about child development. Closely watching a checklist or calendar of developmental milestones may trouble parents if their child is not developing normally. Some child begin walking at early at 8 months, while some walk late where it took 18 months but is still considered as normal. As a parent, it is important for their child to visit the healthcare to follow their child's development, and it is their responsibility to watch the child developmental milestone by simply making a checklist for them to observe if their children is developing normally or not. Research has shown that the sooner the developmental services are started, the better the outcome. Milestone can help to identify a child who needs a more detailed checkup. Examples are speech therapy, physical therapy, developmental preschool. Performance physical and motor skills. Physical and motor skills are those which require whole body movement and which involve the large core stabilizing muscles of the body to perform everyday functions such as standing and walking, running and jumping, and sitting upright at the table. The typical 4-month-old baby should be slow in weight gain to about 20 grams, almost 2/3 of an ounce per day, weigh 2 times more than their birth weight, have almost the head drop while in a sitting position, be able to sit straight if propped up, raise head 90 degrees when placed on stomach, be able to roll from front to back, hold and let go of an object. Play with a rattle when it's placed in their hands, but won't be able to pick it up if dropped. Be able to grasp a rattle with both hands. Be able to place objects in mouth. Sleep to 9 to 10 hours at night with 2 naps during the day. Total of 14 to 16 hours per day. 4-month sensory and cognitive skills. Sensory skills refer to the brain's ability to receive, interpret, and effectively use information provided by all the senses: vision, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and the detection of movement. While the cognitive skills is how children think, explore, and figure things out. It is development of knowledge, skills, problem solving, and dispositions which help children to think and understand the world around them. Brain development is part of cognitive development. The 4-month-old baby expected to have well-established close vision, increase eye contact with parents and others, have beginning hand-eye coordination, be able to coo, be able to laugh out loud, anticipate feeding when able to see bottle if bottle fed, begin to show memory, demand attention by fusing, recognize parents' voices or touch. So here are the play recommendations for a 4-month-old baby to encourage developmental through playing. You can encourage developmental through play. Place the baby in front of a mirror. Provide bright colored toys to hold. Repeat sounds the infant makes, help the infant roll over, use the infant swing at the park if the baby has head control, play on the stomach or the tummy time. 9 months physical and motor skills most often reach the following milestone. Increase in length by 1.5 centimeters, a little over 1/2 inch per month. Bowel and bladder become more regular. Puts hands forward when the head is pointed to the ground to protect self from falling. Is able to crawl, sits for a long period. Pulls self to standing position, reaches for object which while sitting, gains weight at slow rate about 15 grams half on ounce per day, 1 pound 450 grams per month, bangs object together, can grasp object between the tip of the thumb and index finger, fed self with finger, throws or shake objects. The 9 months old typically bubbles, have separation anxiety and may cling to parents, is developing depth perception, understand that the object continue to exist even when they are not seen, responds to simple commands, respond to name.
To continue, to help the 9 months old develop, here are some play recommendations. First, provide large toys that can be pushed to encourage walking. Ito yung mga kinaugalian ng mga bata na ginagawa nila is yung pagkaid ng kanilang magulang gamit ang stroller or walker para kung sa ganun ay makatuto silang maglakad. Sing songs together. Sabayin yung bata sa pagkanta lalo na sa ABC song or di kaya ay sa counting. Next is avoid television time until age 2. Siguro sa ngayong new generation, usually sa mga parents or guidance ng mga bata is tinitrain or hinahayaan na lang yung mga babies nilang manood ng video or mga cocomelon, ganun, para makatuto sila para matuto. Pero ito ay hindi dapat nila kailangan gawin kasi itong mga bata is may hindi pa nila kayang kontrolin or wala pa silang lakas para makontrol yung radiation na pumapasok sa kanila. Dito rin yung dahilan upang lumabo yung paningin nila. So, kailangan i-avoid muna yung panonood ng mga bata. Mas magandang sabayan na lang sila sa pagkatuto or pagbigay na lang ng chart upang sa kanon ay mas mabilis nilang ma-visualize yung nakikita nila. Next is the 12 months physical and motor skills. A 12-month-old child is expected to be 3 times their birth weight. Bumibigat na din sila. Next is growth to height of 50% over birth length. Mabilis na pagtangkad or 50% na pagtangkad nila since nung naipanganak sila. The next is have a head circumference equal to that of their chest. Pagkapantay ng head nila through their chest. Have 1 to 8 teeth. The next is stand without holding on to anything. Walk alone or when holding one hand. So, ito yung usually nakikita or napapansin natin sa mga bata kapag nag-step na sila sa 1-year-old nila. Next is bang 2 blocks together. Kaya na rin nilang tumbahin yung mga blocks na ibinibigay sa kanila, especially yung mga laruan nila, ganun. Then, turn through the page of a book by flipping many pages at a time. Yung pagbilis na pag next page nila through their hand sa mga books. Pick up a small object using the tip of their thumb and index finger. Ito yung pagtampot nila ng mga bagay-bagay sa mga paligid nila, lalo yung mga small things. Kasi siguro sa kanila ay parang naku-curious sila kung anong bagay na yun. Next is sleep 8 to 10 hours a night and take 1 to 2 naps during the day. ito yung pagtulog nila sa tanghali or sa gabi na nahihigit nila yung ganyang pagtulog. Next is 12-month sensory and cognitive skills. The typical 12-month-old is begin pretend play, such as pretending to drink from a cup. So, ayan yung napapansin natin sa kanila. Then, next is follows a fast-moving object. For example, kapag nagbigay tayo ng mga bagay na mabilis na tumatakbo, or kapag may nakikita silang bagay na ganun, parang fina-follow nila yun. Gaya nga ng sinabi ko, dito yung pag-andar or pag-improve ng kanilang curiosity. Respond to their name. Kapag tinatawag mo na yung mga pangalan nila, ay marunong na rin silang mag-respond. Then, can say mama, papa, and at least or 2 other words. Ito yung pagbigkas ng pagkatuto nilang pagbigkas ng kanilang parents, or usually yung mga guidance nila. At then, kung sino yung palagi nilang nakakasama, sila yung first na mabibigkas nilang pangalan. Then, understand simple commands. Ito yung pagbigay ng simpleng command ay naiintindihan na nila. For example is kapag yung game nila na close open, ganun, marunong na rin silang sumunod sa ganong command or utos sa kanila. Tries to imitate animal sounds. So yun, for example, kapag yung isang bata naturuan na sa pagbigas ng sound. For example is yung anong tunog ng aso, ganun, gagayahin nila yung boses ng aso, 'di ba? Or anong animals na naririnig nila. Next is connect names with object. For example is kapag may naibigay kang pencil, marunong na rin nilang i-identify yun kung ano ang hawak mong object. Next is understand that object continue to exist even when they can't be seen. For example is nagbigay ka or nagpakita ka ng isang bagay, then naitago mo to sa likod mo, hinihintay or nakakatch niya yung attention niya na meron pa rin yung bagay na yun through their eyes. Naghihintay sila na maibigay yung ganong or maipikita mo muli yung bagay na yun, kasi alam na nila na kapag yung isang bagay ay naitago mo, ay alam nila na meron pa rin yun sa'yo. Participate in getting dressed. For example, kapag pinapalitan mo yung bata, sabihin mo sa kanila is, itaas mo yung kamay mo, ganun. Itataas nila yung kamay para maipasok yung damit na isusuot nila. Then, kapag sa paa naman nila, kapag nag-ano sila ng shirt, i-identify nila kung anong gusto nila or unahin, left or right ba nila, ganun. Play simple back and forth games. Then next is points to object with the index finger and waves goodbye. Ito yung natututo na rin silang ituro kung anong bagay na yun. Then yung saying goodbyes through waving their hands. Next is may develop an attachment to a toy or object. So, kapag may inaibigay kang bagay, or for example, kapag nagbigay ka ng teddy bear, ganun, kapag na-attach na sila dun sa bagay, mahihirapan mo nang kunin sa kanila yon. Kasi parang may sentimental value na din sa kanila yon, then ayaw na nilang ibigay kapag kunin mo na sa kanila. Experience separation anxiety and may cling to parents. Usually sa mga bata, kapag na-attach sila sa mama nila or papa nila, then kapag kukunin mo sila, ayaw nilang pumunta sa iyo kasi wala pa dun yung trust nila sa iyo, especially kapag bago ka pa lang nila nakita. Next is may make brief journey away from parents to explore in familiar setting. Ito yung pinapasya na yung bata para ma-explore nila dun yung mga paligid nila. Hindi lang din sa bahay nila or hindi lang sa mga kinaugalian nilang environment, kundi pumupunta na rin sila sa ibang lugar para ma-explore yung bata at hindi lang siya pang family or hindi rin siya manibago dun sa lugar na pupuntahan nila. Next is the 12 months play recommendation. 12-month-old develop skills through play. Provide a picture books. Ito yung pagbibigay nila ng mga pictures, especially sa mga catchy na mga pictures. Doon kasi nakukuha yung mga attention nila or mga colorful na pictures. Usually ibigay din sa mga bata yung mga pangangailangan nila sa study nila or para maging advanced yung mga sensory and cognitive skills nila or yung mga pictures ng animals, colors, shapes, and numbers. Provide different stimuli such as going to mall or zoo. So yun, yung parang sinabi ko kanina, yung pagpasyal nila sa mga ibang lugar upang ma-explore din ng bata yung paligid natin. Play a ball. The next is build vocabulary by reading and naming people and object in the environment. So yun, yung parang ipina-familiarize nila yung mga or recognize nila yung mga nasa tao na mga tao na nasa paligid niya. Then yung mga kalaro nila, then kung ano yung mga nilalaro niya. Teach hot and cold through play. The next is try using a transitional object to help with separation anxiety. Ito yung pagbibigay sa mga bata ng mga gamit na catchy upang sa ganun ay hindi nila ma-experience yung pagkabalisa. Especially kasi sa mga bata, ayaw nilang naiiwan yan. Ayaw nilang nag-i-stay lang sa isang place. Gusto yan is yung nagiging energetic sila or nagiging hyper sila, especially sa mga nakakasalimuhan nila, then sa mga gamit na ibinibigay natin sa kanila. Next is provide large toys that can be pushed to encourage walking. Yun, yung parang sinabi ko. Then, sing a song, have a play date with a child of a similar age. Ito yung hayaan lang yung bata sa pagkikipaglaro sa mga ka-age nila upang sa ganun ay ma-develop na rin yung mga social development nila or yung pakikisalamuha nila sa ibang bata. Avoid television and other screen time until age 2. So, yung parang sinabi ko kanina, iwasan mo na sa mga bata yung panonood ng Cocomelon or yung panonood ng mga cartoons. Mas maganda na i-recommend na lang sa mga bata is yung pagbibigay ng books, then pictures or catchy or color materials upang sa ganun mas mabilis nilang ma-visualize at nakahawak at nakikita rin nila ng maayos yan. The 18 months physical and motor skills. The typical 18 months old is growing at a slower rate and has less of an appetite compared to the months before. So, sa stage na ganito ng mga bata, ay natututo na rin silang pumili or nawawalan sila ng gana, especially sa mga pagkain, sa mga nakakasama nila, kasi natututo na silang pumili ng mga gusto nila at ayaw nilang gawin. It's able to control the muscles used to urinate and have bowel movements but may not be ready to use the toilet. So, unti-unting natututo yung bata sa kung paano or anong proper sa gawain, especially sa bowel movements. So, alam naman natin yun, diba? Next is runs stiffly and falls often. Natututo na rin yung bata na tumakbo, pero hindi pa rin ganun kalakas yung muscle nila. Syempre, natutumba rin sila kasi hindi pa ganun nga kalakas yung muscles nila. Next is able to get onto small chairs without help. So, yun. Kaya na rin nilang magbuhat ng mga bagay na kaya nilang buhatin, especially sa mga small chairs or yung mga small things as long as yung mga kaya nilang buhatin. Walks upstairs while holding on with one hand. So, yun, kaya na rin nilang umakyat sa hagdan with the help ng kanilang guidance mother in one hand. Pero wag dalasan ang ganong gawain kasi hindi pa rin natin alam na yun na rin yung dahilan kung ba't sila nadidisgrasya or baka mahulog sa hagdan. Can build a tower of 2 to 4 blocks, especially sa mga nalalaro nila, like yan sa pictures yung blocks na ABC. Can use a spoon and cup with help to feed self. So may mga sarili na silang pinggan or baso, kutsara na natututong kumain mag-isa. Imitate scribbling o yung mga gaya ng mga sinabi ko kanina, yung paggaya nila sa ibang sounds na naririnig nila. Can turn 2 or 3 pages of a book at a time. So yung pagbuklat ng libro na nahawak nila, siguro gusto rin nilang ma-explore kung anong meron dun sa bagay dahil sa curiosity nila. Next is the 18-month sensory and cognitive markers or skills. The typical 18 months old shows affection, yung pagbibigay ng lambing sa guidance nila, sa parents nila, especially sa lagi nilang nakakasama at laging umaalaga sa kanila. Has separation anxiety. Ito yung sa iba nagtawag nila is yung magimi, na kapag umaalis yung palagi nilang nakakasama at umaalaga sa kanila is naboboring or umiiyak sila. Listen to a story or looks at the pictures. Nagiging attentive na rin sila sa pakikinig ng story at nagiging active yung sensory skills nila, especially kapag may mga catchy na pictures. Can say 10 or more words when asked. So, marami-rami na rin mga words na kaya nilang bigkasin. Kisses parents with lips puckered, yung pag-kiss nila na may tunog. Usually sa mga bata, kapag sinasabi mong kiss, ganun, ikikiss ka nila. Diba? Next is identifies one or more parts of the body. So, marunong rin silang mag-identify ng parts ng body. For example, is yung kapag tinuturo mo yung eye, alam nila yung ituturo nila. Then, nose, alam din nila kung ano yung itinuturo nila. Then, at the same time, marunong rin nilang i-identify yung pangalan na ituturo mo. Understands and is able to point to and identify common object and often imitates. So, yun, gaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, yung alam nila sa bagay na tinuturo mo, hindi lang sa parts of the body, especially sa mga objects na lagi nilang hinahawakan, nagiging familiar sila at nire-recognize na nila yung ginagamit nila. Is able to take off some clothes items such as gloves, hats, and socks. Kaya na rin nilang maghubad ng damit nila, especially kapag naliligo. Begins to feel a sense of ownership, identifying people and object by saying my. Ito yung pagkatuto ng bata na nagiging attached sila sa bagay na lagi nilang nilalaro. Ito yung pagkatuto nila maging selfish dun sa bagay na ginagamit nila always. Next is the 18 months play recommendation. The typical 18-month-old encourage and provide the necessary space for physical activity. So, sa mga bata, kailangan nilang maglaro nakasama yung mga kaibigan nila, especially in a open area, upang sa ganun mas ma-develop yung pagiging socially nila at makilala nila or ma-explore nila yung isang place. Provide safe copies of adult tools and equipment for the child to play with. Ito yung pagbibigay ng laruan nila na dapat i-observe natin kung nakakatulong ba yun sa kanila or na may magandang idulot ba doon sa katawan nila, kasi may mga bagay kasi na pwedeng mag-cause ng pagkasakit ng bata. For example is yung hindi natin alam kung anong meron dun sa bagay na nilalaro nila. Then i-observe din natin yung mga bagay na ibinibigay sa nila. Wag tayong magbigay ng mga small rounds objects, especially sa mga coins, kasi may tendency na baka lunukin nila yung perang iyon. Then, allow the child to help around the house and participate in the family's daily responsibilities. Upang sa ganon, kahit bata ay natututo na rin sila sa gawaing bahay, yung mga simple na gawain, di ba? Encourage play that involves building and creativity. Yes, upang sa ganon, ma-experience or lumabas yung creativity ng isang bata, especially sa mga drawing, painting, gano'n.
Read to the child. Encourage playdates with children of the same age. Avoid television and other screen time before age 2. Play simple games together, such as puzzles and shape sorting. Use a transitional object to help with separation anxiety. A child at 18 months expect new and complex emotions. Pretend play, independent, walking, lots of new words and more, talking and listening, reading, working on everyday skills and playing with others, help development. 2 years will develop physical and motor markers. Be able to turn a doorknob, can look through a book turning one page at a time, can build a tower of 6 to 7 cubes, can kick a ball without losing balance, can pick up objects while standing without losing balance. This often occurs by 15 months. It is a cause for concern if not seen by 2 years. Can run with better coordination, may still have a wide stance, may be ready for toilet training, should have the first 16 teeth, but the actual number of teeth can vary widely. At 24 months, will reach about half final adult height. The child begins to become independent. Physical development of 2 years will love to show off their body motor skills, whether they're running, climbing, throwing, or kicking. At this age, expect the child to make quick strides and beginning to have better control over their hand and finger movements, which are signs that they're building fine motor skills. You can expect the child to be able to hold a pencil or crayon and copy lines and circles, and show signs that they're ready for toilet training. At 2 years, it will develop sensory and cognitive markers. Able to put on simple clothes without help, the child is often better at removing clothes than putting them on. Able to communicate needs such as thirst, hunger, need to go to the bathroom, can organize phrases of 2 to 3 words. Vision is fully developed. Can understand 2-step commands such as give me the ball and then get your shoes. Has increased attention span. Vocabulary has increased to about 50 to 300 words, but healthy children vocabulary can vary widely. Now, as a 2 years old, the learning process has become more thoughtful. Grasp of language is increasing and beginning to form mental images for things, actions, and concepts. They also can solve some problems in their head, performing mental trial and error instead of having to manipulate objects physically. Pay recommendation. Allow the child to help around the house and take part in the daily family chores. Encourage active play and provide enough space for healthy physical activity. Encourage play that involves building and creativity. And read to the child. Try to avoid television watching at this age. Recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Provide safe copies of adult tools and equipment. Many children like to mimic activities such as cutting the grass or sweeping the floor. Control the type of games the child plays. Control both the content and quantity of television viewing. Limit screen time to less than 3 hours per day. 1 hour or less is better. Avoid programming with violent content. Redirect the child to reading or play activities. This is also a time that a child will begin to explore and try and figure out how things work during playtime. It is important to offer as many opportunities as you can for exploration. Children really begin to play interactively with their peers. You will also see a real explosion in pretend play, a critical aspect of children's development. Pretend play builds language, thinking, and social skills when children take on roles and develop their own ideas and stories. 3 years old will develop physical and motor markers. Gains about 45 pounds or 1.8 to 2.25 kilograms. Grows about 2 to 3 inches or 5 to 7 centimeters. Reaches about half of his or her adult height and improved balance. Has improved vision 20/30. Has all 20 primary teeth. Needs 11 to 13 hours of sleep a day. May have daytime control over bowel and bladder functions. May have nighttime control as well. Can briefly balance and hop on one foot. May walk upstairs with alternating feet without holding the rail. Can build a block tower of more than 9 cubes. Can easily place small objects in a small opening. Can copy a circle. Can pedal a tricycle. The physical development of 3 years old are not only growing in height and weight, but they are also fine-tuning growth and fine motor skills. Like everything else, mastery of the skills will vary by child and by their ability and size. As 3-year-old grows, they are learning more about their own body and how to control it. Balance will get better, and with practice, your child will be able to do things they hadn't been able to do before. 3 years old will develop sensor and cognitive markers. Has a vocabulary of several hundred words. Speaks in sentences of 3 words and counts 3 objects. Uses plurals and pronouns like he or she. Often asks questions. Can dress self only needing help with shoelaces, buttons, and other fasteners in awkward places. Can stay focused for a longer period of time. Has a longer attention span. Feeds self easily. Acts out social encounters through play activities. Becomes less afraid when separated from mother or caregiver for short periods of time. Fears imaginary things. Knows only age and gender like boy or girl. Starts to share. Has some cooperative play. Building tower of blocks together. Cognitive development in a 3 years old isn't just about learning the alphabet or how to count. It develops the entire learning process of absorbing information, which includes asking questions and processing and understanding information. Most 3 years old are like sponges and they absorb everything around them. As a parent, help them know what to do with that information because they are now able to sit still and focus for a longer period of time. They can take in even more around them. 3 years play recommendation. Provide a safe play area and constant supervision. Provide the necessary space for physical activity. Help your child take part in and learn the rules of sports and games. Limit both the time and content of television and computer viewing. Visit local areas of interest. Encourage your child to help with small household chores such as helping set the table or picking up toys. Encourage play with other children to help develop social skills. Encourage creative play and read together. Encourage your child to learn by answering their questions. Provide activities related to your child's interests. Encourage your child to use words to express feelings rather than acting out. A 3-year-old may begin to play cooperatively with other children and develop friendships. Kids can begin to take turns at this age, so you may see your child begin to engage in simple games or activities that require them to practice patience. They play more with peers, making up stories and rules for their games. Use language to describe feelings and experiences. Use feeling words in everyday conversations with the child, such as mad, sad, and happy. Building the child's emotional vocabulary makes it easier for the child to learn how to use their own words to express themselves. 4 years will develop physical and motor markers. The typical 4-year-old will gain weight at the rate of about 6 grams or less than the quarter of an ounce per day, weighs 40 pounds or 18.14 kilograms and is 40 inches or 101.6 centimeters tall and has a 20/20 vision. Sleeps 11 to 13 hours at night, most often without a daytime nap. Grows to height that is double the birth length. Shows improved balance, hops on one foot without losing balance, throws a ball overhand with coordination, can cut out a picture using scissors, and may still wet the bed. The physical and motor skills of 4 years old typically get much taller and more coordinated this year. They might start tattling and acting a little bossy, and start to develop confidence in their physical ability, but as with their emotions, they can be too bold or too timid and still need to be supervised during active play. And this year, kids often become more independent physically and in friendships. 4 years will develop sensory and cognitive markers. The typical 4 years old has a vocabulary of more than 1,000 words, easily puts together sentences of 4 or 5 words, can use the past tense and count to 4, will be curious and ask a lot of questions, may use words they do not fully understand, may begin using vulgar words, learns and sings simple songs, tries to be very independent. 4 years will develop sensory and cognitive markers, which is a 4-year-old will ask lots of questions about the world and why it is the way it is. They will probably love to have conversations and talk in detail about all sorts of things. They need to find out about all aspects of life, and talking is an important way of understanding how the world works. They begin to express themselves in longer and more complicated sentences. The play recommendations of 4 years old. The parent of a 4-year-old you should encourage and provide space for physical activity. Show your child how to participate in and follow the rules of sporting activities. Encourage play and sharing with other children and encourage creative play. Teach your child to do small chores such as setting and table and reading together. Limit screen time or television and other media. 2 hours a day of quality programs. Expose your child to different stimuli by visiting local areas of interest. 4 years old are moving out into the world. They can usually play happily with other children and enjoy lots of physical games as well as stories. Kids this age are more able to get along with peers and work out things that bother them through play. Play becomes increasingly imaginative and is an important part of kids' growth and development now. 5 years will develop physical and motor skills marker. The typical 5 years old will gain about 4 to 5 pounds or 1.8 to 2.25 kilograms. Grows about 2 to 3 inches or 5 to 7.5 centimeters. Vision reaches 20/20. First adult teeth start breaking through the gum. Most children do not get there. First adult teeth until age 6. has better coordination or getting the arms, legs, and body to work together. At this age, expect 3 key emotions: independence, friendships, and social play. Lots of talk, improve physical coordination, and more. At this age, it's good for children to development to play with you. Do simple chores, practice classroom behavior, have play dates, and talk about feelings.
The physical and moral skills markers of a 5 years old. The typical 5 years old skips, jumps, and hops with good balance. Stays balanced while standing on one foot with eyes closed. Shows more skill with simple tools and writing utensils. Can copy a triangle. Can use a knife to spread soft foods. In short, they are too strong, healthy, and physically fit. Hindi yung malamya, hindi yung matamlay. Next is the sensory and cognitive markers. Speaks in sentences of 5 or more words and with all parts of speech. Can identify different coins. Can count to 10 and knows the phone number. Can properly name the primary colors and possibly many more colors. Ask deeper questions that address meaning and purpose. Has a vocabulary of more than 2,000 words. Can answer why question and they know how to say I'm sorry when they make mistakes. Shows less aggressive behavior. Outgrows earlier childhood first. Accepts other points of view but may not understand them. Has improved math skills and questions other including parents. Strongly identify with the parents of the same sex and has a group of friends. So, dito naman sa sensory and cognitive markers, they are mentally developed at nagiging curious na din sila at also nagiging intellectual then mentally developed nga sila. So, yun, parang mas gumugrow yung mentally attitude nila or characteristics. Next is place recommendations. Reading together and providing enough space for the child to be active. Teaching the child how to take part in and learn the rules of sports and games. Encouraging the child to play with other children while helps develop social skills. Playing creatively with the child, limiting both the time and content of television and computer viewing. Visiting local areas of interest, encourage the child to perform small house chores such as helping set the table or picking up toys after playing. So, dito sa play recommendation, in 5 years old, kailangan na i-explore nila yung nasa paligid nila at ipamulit sa kanila na kailangan nilang maging social skills or kailangan nilang makikisalamuha sa mga iba't ibang mga bata upang sa ganun mas ma-develop yung pagiging creativity nila at pagiging characteristics of being friendly. So, what if a child does not meet a developmental milestone? He was walking before he turned 10 months, much earlier than his older brother. She didn't say much until she was about 2 years old and then she took a blue streak. Ito yung kadalasan na naririnig natin sa especially sa mga parents kapag may mga nakikita silang problema, especially sa developmental milestone ng kanilang mga babies. But always remember that every child is unique and will develop at his or her own pace. So yun, always natin isipin na yung mga bata is may mga different, unique, or may mga iba't ibang way ng kanilang pag-grow. So, wag natin i-compare na sa iba ka na if yung mga bata nila is advanced sa pag-grow, wag natin i-compare yun. Example for that is children learn to walk anytime between 9 and 15 months of age. However, if you have a child 15 months of age who is not yet walking, it would be a good idea to talk with your child's pediatrician to make sure there aren't any medical or developmental problems. Then, kapag may nakita kayong problema sa developmental milestone ng bata, huwag basta-basta dumiretso sa mga doktor nila, nurses, or other specialists. May mga akma or tamang specialist na pwedeng puntahan. Ito ay yung mga speech pathologists, physical therapists, developmental psychologists, and oculists. How can I help my child meet this developmental milestone? First is give your child lots of love and attention. Yes. Next is interact with your child by talking, singing, playing, eating, and reading with your child. Next is your child will grow up feeling special, important to you. You always learn a lot about your child's interests and skills. Read. Research has shown that children who are read to by their parents have a larger vocabulary than other children. Reading also provides child with new perspective about the world he live in. So, dito is kailangan talaga na magbigay tayo ng full attention sa bata. Then, always na i-guide natin sila, i-care natin sila. Kasi mas maganda na natututukan natin kung paano mag-grow yung isang bata. Especially sa pagtungtong nila sa first study nila, mas maganda na yung parents mismo o yung tumutok na magturo dun sa bata upang ma-feel na may love at nandun yung full attention dun sa bata. Next is learn some simple parenting skills for helping your child to learn how to behave. The most important parenting skills are having consistent rules, rewarding behaviors you want to see your child do more of, and having consequences for behaviors you do not want your child to continue to do. Dito is huwag hayaan na lahat ng gusto ng bata is ibigay. Kailangan din ilimit natin upang sa ganun ay hindi sila ma-spoiled at mas natututo sila malaman kung ano yung mga limitation nila. Limit TV time and video time to no more than 1 to 2 hours of educational viewing per day. So, ilimit natin yung panonood sa kanila ng mga TV, especially sa mga video games, ganun, online games, upang sa ganun ay maiwasan nilang magkasakit. Ask for help when you need it from your spouse, partner, family, friends, and your child's doctor or nurse practitioner. Parenting is wonderful, but it's not always easy. Tama. So, ngayon, mag-aral muna. So, yun. Thank you for listening. That's all for today. God bless.